The base segment set of data fields is where we're going to start to see data fields that we will recognize that are printed on the credit reports all day long. This is really the starting point for being able to use the Metro 2 format and actually figure out how a report is supposed to report and where the errors are. Up until now, until we got to Chapter 4, for the most part, we were talking conceptually about Metro 2, why it's important, why it's an industry standard, and how it ties to the law. But now we're going to get into the details, what people call the factual type details of the credit report. But the beautiful thing about Metro 2 is that the factual details are actually rooted in their industry standard. So your base segment is where the information related to the primary consumer is reported. The first few fields are fields that you're not typically going to see on a credit report. So we will go down and we will skip down to base segment field number 7, which is your consumer account number. This is really how you want to use this. You want to take a look, understand what the fields are and their definitions and descriptions and how they're supposed to report. Once you have a good understanding of this, keeping in mind that all three bureaus use the exact same identical data format, then you're able to start to look at a credit report and compare the data for inconsistencies. Again, based on what we've talked about earlier in this module, inconsistent information, well, it's inconsistent with their format because their format is designed to have a standardized and consistent computer layout of data. So let's take a look. Base segment field number 7 is your consumer account number. As an example, it says report the individual's complete and unique account number as extracted from the furnisher's file. Now it does say that account number scrambling and encryption can be permitted. Well, now we know how it's supposed to be reported. One question that I have is, even if the data is scrambled and encrypted, why in the world does it still report multiple ways? This may not necessarily stand alone be the strongest dispute reason, but certainly it is a dispute reason. If you look at the credit report on all three bureaus and the credit account number is inconsistent or different, certainly it stands to reason that you can legitimately, which means also legally, dispute the accuracy of this information. So when we're looking at Chapter 4 and we're looking at really drilling in, mapping out our credit reports, what we want to do is take a look at the fields, figure out what we're looking at. Once we figure out what we're looking at, figure out how it's supposed to report, and then we want to put the bureaus on notice of those errors. The best way to do that is to just go ahead and put their credit data back in your dispute letter in some form or fashion, whether it's actually typing their data in the letter and giving it back to them, or as an alternative, including a copy of the credit report, putting it in there and circling what's wrong. Either way, however you do it, what's important is to put them on notice of the actual data errors. Now let's go ahead and dive in on the next few videos to some of the more common credit data fields in the base segment that